Alright, welcome back to Unbound Chapters podcast. I'm Sandra.
I'm Isabel.
Today is our final video for Quicksilver by Callie Hart. First long book, Unbound book has come to an end. A lot of shit went down. A whole lot went down. So we're going to do a breakdown from chapter 37 all the way to the end of the book. It was a lot. I didn't have big emotions. I didn't cry or anything like that. I didn't have those kinds of emotions, but definitely got goosebumps a couple times. I was like, oh, what the fuck? Alright, you wanna begin?
I don't remember what happened at the end of 36.
I think they're just talking about getting ready to go get Everlane. Ishabel was there, and they're like, okay, we're gonna do it soon. Are you ready? That kind of thing. Yeah. I was just talking about Fisher didn't want her to come, and she's like, I fought perfectly well, let me come. And then he was like, all right, who am I to stop you? And then...
Yeah, they were still fighting, kind of, in the beginning of 37.
Mm-hmm.
And then she went to go sleep on the couch again. He was like, we're about to go do some big thing. You think I'm gonna let you sleep on the couch?
Yeah.
He's like, let's just spend, another night together before a battle.
The night they spent.
And I remember her saying that she would rather just temporarily forgive him and have happiness instead of spending what could be their last night together in tears. So they stepped through his portal, and she was about to make fun of him. She was like, he's so lazy. He just used a portal to get to his bedroom. But they ended up going back to that apartment in... I forget the town's name, but the town where his mom...
Ballard?
The town where his mom, I guess, spent a lot of time. And he decorated the whole place really cute with candles and...
So cute.
Yeah, he set out a spread of food and just a bunch of good stuff. So they had a meal, feast. And after their feast, he was like, I love you. I know it's a lot, but I love you. She was like, me too. And then they got down to business.
Many times.
Yeah.
For hours.
Yeah. And since he accepted their mate bond, he got new tattoos. And there's something about saying it verbally that also shows your acceptance. Which, you gotta be careful. You know your mate bond's there, but if you're not there, you'd be like, yeah, they're my mate.
Yeah, she still got some... Didn't she get some, more longer tattoos? But only he said... Oh, yeah. This part, only he got the tattoos. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
tattoo.
She wasn't ready to accept it, which I don't know why not.
Yeah.
I don't get why she didn't accept it right away.
You can still be upset with someone. I get why she was upset. I also get his point of view, too. He thinks it's, being selfish. Because he knows he's going to die one day, and, he doesn't want to make her, take care of him through, all the hard times and all the other stuff. I get that.
But then he was the first one to accept the mate bond.
Because he loves her. But yeah, I get both sides, but also, yeah, I would have did it right then and there as well. Like, what's the point of waiting? Like, you love him, he loves her. There's literally no point in waiting to say if you accept or reject the mate bond. Like, if I was Saris and Kingfisher was like, yep, I accept it. We're like,
me too.
Me too? Let me suck that to you. Yeah, I would accept it immediately. Like, that fight, it's done and over with. Like, I don't even care about it anymore. I want you, you want me. It's official. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his tattoo looks sick.
Yeah.
Or seems sick. I mean, obviously I can't see it, but...
So they tired themselves out and they fell asleep on the floor. And Kingfisher, like, brought her to bed. And she woke up. She's, like, happy. And then she walks out and she sees a portal. And she's like, oh, no.
This mother... Oh, this part pissed me off.
She walked out and saw a note in the middle of their dinner from the night before. And in the note, he's basically like, I'm sorry, I have to do this. Like, I'm gonna die anyways. I'll send Everlane back. Don't come after me.
Mm-hmm.
And she was sad and hurt that he would do this without talking to her again. But then she saw his sword was left behind.
Especially just saying that she was his mate, and then he did all this shit.
And she saw his sword was left behind, so then she was even more upset. She's like, he's doing this stupid stuff, and he didn't even bring protection.
Mm-hmm.
He can't even fight. Not that his sword has magic over there, but
mm-hmm.
he knows how to fight with a sword, regardless if it's magic or not. And so she steps through the portal. She ends up back at Kalish, and she magics to his bedroom. And in his bedroom is Carrion, and he's just chilling, going through all of Kingfisher's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And in his hand is the journal that Kingfisher told her about with, like, all his mom's seer information.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, guess what I found?
Yeah, I thought that was funny. She's like, oh, let me guess. You found this. Like,
well, she was just, like, not having any of it.
mm-hmm.
And she was like, dude, shut up. Where is everyone? She throws down the sword and she goes to the library to meet everyone, and she throws the note on the desk. Everyone reads it and they're like, that idiot.
Mm-hmm.
That big, dumb idiot. And they're like, what are we going to do? And they're, like, trying to plan things, and everyone's, like, really upset. And then Carrion's just like, well, he's going to open another portal, right? And it was open for at least 10 to 20 seconds whenever Saris came through just now. So why don't you just go through to the other side? It's not a one-way door.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, dude, you're so smart. And while they're talking about this, they're like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through. We're going to do all this and that. And as they're talking about it, Everlane falls from the ceiling onto their table, breaks the table. The portal is in the air.
Yeah.
So they can't just walk through it. And the table, which would help them get to these high ceilings, is broken.
Do you think he did this on purpose, or do you think it was just, like,
on
unintentional?
Purpose.
Yeah.
On purpose. Because he knows where to place it. Like, he places it.
Yeah.
So...
He didn't have to hurt Everlane, though. Like... But yeah,
so, Ren lifts up Carrion first, and then he goes to lift Saris up, and Everlane's like, wait, the water. And Saris doesn't really have time to think about it before she is sucked through the portal.
Yeah, she grabs her sword.
And as she's falling, she, like, sees the ground. She's like, it looks strange. It looks odd. She goes, oh, it's water. So they're, like, over this gray-looking, frozen-ish lake. And she doesn't really have time to, like, I guess...
She can't really tell Carrion.
Yeah.
He's just kind of screwed.
So they belly flop into this lake from a very, very high distance.
Yeah.
And she breaks some ribs. And then, of course, Lorth. He had enough warning. So, and he's also Fae. So he jumps in and he doesn't get a single scratch. And he pulls her to shore, goes back, gets Carrion, pulls him to shore. She's having a hard time because she's got at least 1 or 2 broken ribs. She's bruised. She just breathed in like the whole lake of water.
Yeah, Carrion too.
And he's unconscious, so she starts like pounding on his chest, trying to give him like really aggressive CPR. And she was like, if you don't wake up right now, I'm gonna tell everyone that you're a lousy lay. And he wakes up, spits out all the water that's in his chest, and he's like, you wouldn't dare. Which was really funny. And then they're on the shore and they're thinking about like, how are we gonna do this? And it starts to like snow, but it's not snow, it's ash. And they hear the, what's the chant?
A Northmore.
So they start climbing this cliff, and I don't understand why they started climbing quickly, but they started climbing like really quickly, and they but they got to the top of this cliff real fast. And when they get to the top, they see, was it tortured souls?
Yeah, I think they're like charred, like tortured souls.
Yeah, she sees like tortured souls, she sees
I think like 200,000
vampires, she sees, what's his name, the general?
Heron.
She sees Heron, and...
Which, I totally thought the motherfucker died, but obviously he didn't because...
I kind of expected him to come back.
I wasn't thinking he was gonna come back. I wasn't thinking that any of this shit was gonna happen. But...
I kind of predicted part of what happened. Not the whole thing, but part of it.
No, also there was this one funny part. It's still along the lines of what we're talking about. Carrion got a sword. She made a sword for Carrion, but I just remembered because I was thinking of the name.
Carrion's like, I'm gonna go too, but I need a sword. And so they didn't have time to make one, so she just like found a random sword.
Yeah, and like kind of remade little bits here and there.
But this Quicksilver wanted a joke.
Yeah.
And she was trying to give it jokes, and the whole time Carrion's like,
it's like,
your jokes are
silent,
lame.
Yeah.
And the Quicksilver was giving her zero response. It was like, that's a lame joke. So then Carrion was like, let me give a crack at it. And what was the joke? It was like, how did the husband said to the wife, I bet you can't make me feel happy and sad at the same time. And without taking a second to think about it, she said, yours is bigger than your brother's. And the Quicksilver ate that joke up, loved it.
There's another one about something, having sex with fire, or, not fire, something, and it was fucking intense.
I don't know.
Yeah. It was something stupid, but
yeah,
it was dying laughing at Quicksilver.
She was really happy that at least the Quicksilver thought him worthy, because she could not handle telling any more of those jokes. And they were like, name the sword, and he picks Simon.
Yeah, I was like,
he named it Simon.
Who names it? Lorith is like Avizith or something like that, and then Nimmerel and Solace. Simon. Carrion and Simon. So literal worst possible name for a sword.
Lame. So they get up to the top. They see all these vampires and stuff, but they're like waiting for them.
They're like chanting.
Heron and some vampires. And they are kind of worried about the vampires, but then they realize that they're like responding to Harris. Not responding, like following his commands. Because they start to like, they're hungry, so they start to get closer. All Heron does is hold up his hand and they like stop.
He probably loves that.
Oh yeah. And he was like, "You're coming with me." And he opens up a portal. And this portal is like, it works similarly to the shadow portal, but it's made of something different. And she described it as like being made of something like wrong. And
it's like whipping wind and shit like that.
She was like, is like flesh tearing off bones or something like that. So she stepped through and it was like really painful. And she gets to the other side and she sees Kingfisher and he's like, "What's she doing? She shouldn't be here."
Yeah, Kingfisher plus friends.
Yeah. And they look up and there is Marcus. Not only is there Marcus, there is
Malcolm.
Not only is there Malcolm, there is what's her name? Madra, and there is also Belkin. They're all buddy working together. Have been the whole time. Called it.
Yeah, I never liked that King Bellicon guy. Like,
I definitely thought he was gonna
in my
do
head.
Something shady.
In my head, I don't remember if they described what he looked like, but up here he's got a red hair and a red beard, and he's a rotund. He is like a round, big guy,
in my
like
head,
a King Henry
I saw
the Eighth or something.
Blonde, big dude.
Yeah.
At least a pot belly, like a beer belly.
Mm-hmm.
I also kind of saw him as a little bit short.
Yeah, I saw him short, red hair, and round.
Like Smee from the.
I didn't think he would look like that, but
Not that short, but.
I didn't think he was short. In my head, maybe like, well, if they're like 7 feet or something, I don't know if they're 7 feet.
Well,
but
I didn't think he was like 2 feet.
Yeah, I think he's smaller than the average Fae, but and then like Malcolm, I just imagine like a toothpick, like very very skinny, and like sunken in cheeks from like like being so skinny, and then Madra just like average in my head. I mean, skinny, but bigger than Malcolm, obviously smaller than Bellicon, but. Yeah, of course they're working together.
Not only are they working together, they call each other brother and sister.
Yeah. Which, I think 2 of them are actually brothers.
Yeah.
No, I think, yeah. But I don't know why they're calling her sister.
Brothers, Belcon and
Malcolm. Who is Marcus?
I don't know.
Why are you saying Marcus?
I don't know.
I don't think I've ever read Marcus in a book before.
They're brothers, and they had this plan to, like, take over the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, one of us has to take the light, one of us has to take the dark. So they, like, split up and kept it a secret that they're brothers. Mm-hmm. And along the way, they met Madra, and they brought her in, made this plan. Well, they did fight originally in the beginning.
Mm.
And she did close the Quicksilver because of them fighting, but then over time they kind of like became buds.
Which, how?
I don't know.
How can they communicate if she closed the Quicksilver pools?
I
and
know.
Also, how is she still undying if she's human?
I don't know.
Do you think well, obviously I know you don't know, but like, I want to know more, because they just say Madra the Undying Queen. Like, why is she undying? Do you think, no. I was thinking about the whole soul thing. I was like, I don't think if you give them a part of your soul, it doesn't mean that they could still stay alive forever. So I was thinking maybe she took some of Malcolm's soul or something like that, but I don't know. Yeah. So sorry, anyway.
And everyone kind of like finds out what Kingfisher's been going through for those 110 years that he was missing.
Which little fucking weasel rat.
They found out that he's been in this like labyrinth thing, trying to like solve it. They didn't know why at first, and it was because he does have a blood oath, and it's with Belkin. Bellicon. With Bellicon, and it happened when that city that he mentioned in the beginning of the book, like, being burned down.
Mm-hmm.
So it was actually burned down, and was burned down by him, but that's not the full story.
Mm-hmm.
So the story is that they got word that Malcolm was sending his, like, horde of vampires, and he had somehow secretly, without anyone finding out, sent majority of his horde to this town of like 100,000 Fae.
200. Yeah, 200,000.
And they wouldn't be able to get the army there in time because it was too far away. So, Kingfisher opened a portal and went through with his wolves.
Mm-hmm.
Because he can't take a whole army through his portal. And they were like, we'll try and, like, hold him off until you guys can get here. But it was a festival that day, so basically every single Fae was outside in the streets.
Crazy.
So by the time they got there, basically everyone had been bit, turned,
yeah, it just
attacked,
probably happened so quick.
Yeah. And so he's, like, begging with Bellicon, like, was it to save? It was save however many of them were left. And Bellicon was like, well, make a blood oath with me if I flip this coin and it lands on... lands on... What was it? Like, the coin had, like, a leaf on one side.
Yeah, that was...
If it lands, like,
a fish.
Leaf side up, then whoever's left, you can save them.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's the other way, then they get turned. So Bellicon flips the coin, and here comes Malcolm. He snatches the coin. But because the coin did not touch the ground, their souls are forever, like, waiting for the coin to touch the ground.
Yeah, it's like a stalemate. Like, he can't save the people, but Malcolm also can't infiltrate the city. It's just, like, stuck. Yeah. Which those people probably got turned anyway.
So then Kingfisher went... Well, he was... Through his blood oath, he was told that he's not allowed to, like, talk about anything. He's not allowed to let anyone in on the information that he knows. And he wanted to, like, contain the horde because that many vampires would, like, destroy all of everything.
Yeah.
And that many vampires would turn that much more vampires, and basically everyone would be a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
So he decided to close the city gates, and he set that whole thing on fire. Mm-hmm. And they all burned to death. It wasn't Malcolm's whole horde, and he could make more.
He still calls them his children.
Yeah. So those charred souls in the stands are the people that he set on fire in the festival town thing. And he's stuck in his blood oath because the coin never touched the ground. So for it took him... Malcolm took the coin and hid it in the labyrinth. And it took Kingfisher 50 years to get to the center of the labyrinth, and then it took him...
I guess so.
He was searching...
vibes.
Yeah, he was searching the center of the labyrinth for like 80 years because it's like full of coins. So he has to like find the right one.
How is he supposed to do that? How is he supposed to find the exact coin that was tossed up in the air?
Not a clue.
That was probably like the point, you know?
Yeah. So...
Oh, I thought this part was not literally funny, but when they were like, well, how did you eat or sleep or rest? And Malcolm was like, oh, like, he didn't need to do any of those things. Aren't I so nice? Like, no, you're a psycho. Like, it's not good. Yeah, like the walls changing and all that other kinds of shit. It was totally like Maze Runner vibes, and it was like, I was getting anxiety when like things were closing because I do not want to be squished. Like, yeah. Sorry, continue. Apologies.
Well, Kingfisher was the one, like, telling the story. Because Bellicon, like, did he blood oath him into saying it, or was he just saying it?
Saying what?
What happened?
Oh, no, he wasn't blood oath to say it, but I think Bellicon said that he revokes the blood oath, and now Fisher, he's like, no, you're free. Tell the story. Tell him all what happened. Yeah, so he was... I guess he didn't have to say the story, but maybe after not being able to for all that time, he was probably like, well, now I can finally tell what happened, you know?
So Kingfisher has been the one telling this whole story. And at the end of that, he talks about how after 80 years of searching through those coins, like trying to find the right one, the ground cracked open, and it turned out there was like a pool of Quicksilver under all of this, and he saw that it was awake and moving, so he split-second jumped through.
Oh, sorry, there's one part. What do you think... Well, I know Malcolm sometimes says, like, my love, and, oh, I sent some friends through, like, every once in a while, like, to, like, you know, not be with, but, like, I sent some friends through to, like, interact. Why is Malcolm so obsessed with Fisher? Why does he call him my love? I mean, obviously, I feel like some things have happened, but, like, why is he so obsessed with him? I mean, I don't blame him, but, you know, like, he said my love to Kingfisher so many times, and she always takes note about it. She's like, my love? Like, why is he saying, like, my love? Why is he so obsessed with Kingfisher?
Maybe we'll find out in the second book.
Yeah, maybe. But also, sending your friends through, like, I feel like there's a little bit of non-consensual things happening in my head.
Maybe.
Ugh, disgusting. He goes to the Quicksilver pool.
I blinked. I don't remember what happens next.
Oh, well, I think the story kind of stops right there, but then Carrion starts to be Carrion and mouth off to Malcolm. And Malcolm is like, I don't like you, human. Like, you smell off. And then Ceres is like, Carrion, like, shut up. What are you doing? And then Kingfisher's like talking to Ceres, like, in her head. And he's like, what is he doing? She's like, I don't fucking know. But it makes it to where Malcolm is distracted. And then Kingfisher is starting to talk again. And, what else?
I think he reached for his sword and stabbed Bellicon in the stomach.
Yeah, but something happened before that. He's starting to, like, they're talking about the Quicksilver, and Malcolm was like, oh, is that true, my love? Like, has the Quicksilver finally, like, started to take over you, or something like that, like, your sanity? And he's like, oh, well, I felt better. Like, no, it's not the reason that I left. And then he shifts his feet, yeah. And then Ceres is like, what are you doing? Like, she's like, I've seen him fight enough to know that he doesn't shift his feet for no reason. Yeah, and that's when he starts to do his coolness. You want to talk about the coolness?
I said it.
Oh yeah, well, there's, like, more. He, like, moves really, really quick, like smoke. No one can really see what the hell is happening, and then next thing we know, yeah, he's shoving his sword. Oh, he goes to Ceres, rips the sword out of her, not pouch, whatever it's hooked onto, and then goes back so quick, and has stabbed Bellicon. He's like, that's for my family, and he's like attacking him. And then Madra, like, screams, and all hell breaks loose. And then Fisher's just like, bro, run. Like, run to the labyrinth. Run, go now. Freaking go. Yeah, Malcolm is like, that's not a smart move. And Heron is like starting to, like, try to attack. Everyone is like fighting now. Still trying to run down to the labyrinth. And which I would not want to go back to that labyrinth. But, I mean, he's back now, so maybe he'll just try to find the coin again. But he has friends now, so it would help. But yeah, so, excuse me, he is telling everyone to run to the labyrinth. Saris ends up having a fight with Heron again, and, like, this time, she's like, well, my hands aren't tied behind my back, so I can properly kind of fight him this time. And she just kept saying thanks to the widow bane that she was given, so like she doesn't feel all of her like injuries and stuff. She's like, wow, this stuff is great, like I don't feel anything. And yeah, Bellicon at this point, like Bellicon is still like not recovering but going through what Fisher did with the sword and stuff like that. Madra is just kind of watching. She's not really fighting at all. Can she even fight? I don't think so. So she's just like watching, just screaming at Heron to like kill Saris. Like, you shouldn't have got a second chance. You should have did it the first time, but now you better like kill her. And Heron is kind of like taunting Saris, like, oh, like she gave me the gift of eternity. Like, death doesn't even know my name, being all cocky and shit. And then she's like, yeah, he was just being cocky, and then she kind of purposely makes like a delay on her move just like to distract him, and of course it worked. And she's like, oh, well, it's gonna remember your name now, and she kills him. Yeah, she killed Heron. And Fisher's still fighting. He pushes Carrion like out of the way. Carrion's like falling down the steps to like the labyrinth. Lorith is like going down, and Kingfisher is like, run now, go, like I'm right behind you. And he ended up really being like right behind you. And as you're like going down to the labyrinth, Malcolm is just like, the labyrinth is like mine. I created it. Like, it's gonna eat you alive. Like, I can control it. But they still went down there anyway. Yeah, I did not like this labyrinth at all.
I don't remember the first part of the labyrinth. I remember the second and third, though.
Oh, I know Kingfisher just said that, like, the first 10 moves are, like, always the same. Just keep going. I think it's, like, to the left, maybe? Just keep going to the exits that are, like, on the left. The first 10 moves are always the same, and then they will start to change after that. So, it's like obsidian, so the walls are slippery, the ground is slippery, so it's, like, they need to run, but it's also easy to slip and fall. So they just make it through the first 10 paths, and then they come up to Morthill? Morthill? You say Morthill or Morthill?
I didn't.
I can't. I at least try to say. I think I went back and forth between Morthill and Morthill.
I think I said Morthill.
Yeah, I started saying Morthill, and I was like, what if it's Morthill? And then I just thought too much about it, and I was like, it's gonna die, I don't care anyway. That's the second part now. They're at the creature.
Yeah. So they got through the first part, they're in the second part, and it's like a circular room with multiple exits. Mm-hmm. But you have to choose the correct exit because the other two exits are like even worse than this one.
Yeah, fuck that. I want to know what's there, but also I'm glad we didn't find out.
In this one is a giant spider-like creature, but he's blind and he listens to sound to find prey.
Yeah, it's got like no eyes, no ears, but it can like know when something is moving.
I think it's probably like regular spiders, how they feel the vibrations in their webs, kind of. Like maybe he can feel the tiniest of vibrations.
Yeah. Poor Carrion, he's just like stuck so close to the creature, and freaking Fisher is like, do not move. And he's like, I'm about to run. And he's like, if you run, you're gonna die. And he was like, okay. Like, I would be terrified. I'm so glad he listened, though, because that would have been bad.
They have to stay on the wall because he can't really detect movement on large objects. Like, he can't differentiate.
Mm-hmm.
So they slide along the walls, and Ceres uses her alchemy abilities to feel the Quicksilver.
Yeah, Fisher is like, feel it, try to find the exit. Like, I can't, like, help you because it changes so much.
So they figure out which one it is. They start going through, but then the creature kind of, like, feels one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so Kingfisher has to pull Carrion really quickly out of there. And they're running down this, like, tunnel.
I was saying, like, runway, but runway's not the right word either. Pathway?
They're running down this pathway, and this giant spider's chasing them, and Kingfisher's like, he's never done that before. He's not supposed to
leave its area, which, oh my god.
Yeah. And so they're just, like, running and running, but does it jump or does someone trip and fall behind? How does it get ahead of Lorth? Oh, was it crawling on the walls?
Yeah, it crawls on the walls.
It was crawling on the walls, and then they cut off 2 of his legs, and he, like, fell down.
Yeah, they chop off the legs.
And Lorth got, like, stuck behind. So Kingfisher took his sword and stabbed it, like... And it died.
Yeah, Sarah's also cuts his abdomen, I think.
That's later.
Oh.
No.
Yeah, I think it's during this time.
She cut it, but she said it just made his stomach, like,
bigger. Yeah, like
nothing happened to it.
Happened, yeah.
And they keep going, and they finally make it towards the next part.
Yeah, like, they keep running, and, like, walls are closing so fast, she has to, like, keep changing her direction.
The pathways here change, and they don't change too frequently. They change pretty randomly, but as they get closer, Malcolm kind of, like, takes control and starts shutting them faster than before. So they're, like, dodging walls closing right in front of them. And at one point, Kingfisher even had to pull Sarah's back so that she wouldn't, like, smack into this closing wall.
Yeah.
They finally get to the middle, and she was like, oh, I finally see why it's so difficult for him to find this coin, is because this whole middle arena thing is filled with coins. And by the time they got to the middle, was Malcolm there, or was it someone else?
Yeah, Malcolm was there, and Bellicon was there.
Yeah, they were in there.
And Madra was there, but they didn't really mention too much about her at first.
They were in there, and they were, like, taunting them, like, oh, you're gonna find the coin? Good luck.
Called him also, like, the Triumvirate? It's, like, 3 crowns sharing 1, like, power source. No. Yeah, because Bellicon was there, and they're like, you literally should have died. And he was just like, you think you can kill me with, like, a little powerless sword? Like,
yeah,
we are...
somehow they have...
the Triumvirate.
All of their lives are somehow connected.
Yeah, and you can't just, like...
To kill one of them, you have to kill all of them, I think.
So they're just, like, keep healing.
Yeah, so...
Which... Sorry. She doesn't die, so do you feel like she was in cahoots with them for, like, a very long time before the things were closed? Because if they don't die and she's connected with them, do you think that could be a reason why she's not dying?
I think it's possible she was connected to Malcolm, but not Bellicon, because they were fighting.
I know, but I'm saying, like, if they're the Triumvirate or whatever, there are 3 crowns sharing a source. If they're Fae and they don't die, even though she's human, if she's now connected with them somehow, do you think that's why she doesn't die?
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't like mentioned in the story. It just says that they're,
It's probably a second book thing too.
Yeah, maybe I'll talk more about it. Okay, yeah, sorry.
So they're like talking and stuff, and then, Ceres is trying to like feel out the coin, but she doesn't feel anything.
Mm-hmm.
And Kingfisher speaks in her mind. He's like, it's made out of silver, like Quicksilver, because it burned Malcolm when he touched it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, go and find it. So she goes off by herself, back down those passageways. But they're not changing anymore because Malcolm's kind of like distracted talking to everyone. And she's going through it, and she gets back to the part. She like starts to feel it, and it's so small, like it's a really quiet whisper. And she starts to follow it, but then she can't quite pinpoint it, and it keeps like taking her in different directions.
Before she runs, Carrion has his whole thing, and Malcolm bites him. That's why nothing is changing. Yeah. Carrion starts spewing his, Carrion bullshit, and then Malcolm is just like, I'm gonna enjoy, like, draining you of blood, and Carrion is, like, not backing down, and Malcolm bites him, and then he's, like, drinking from him for, like, quite a while, and then Carrion is just, like, just still chilling, standing there, not really being affected, then suddenly Malcolm is just like, what did you do? Like, what's going on? And then that's when Ceres is able to, like, run away because Malcolm is kind of going through all of this crazy stuff. Yeah. Yeah, so then she's able to run.
Yeah, she can't pinpoint it. She's, like, calling to it, and it's, like, whisper calling back to her, but she can't, like, really tell which direction it's coming from. She was like, please just tell me where you are. And they were like, why should I help you? She's like, come on, help me. It's for the good of the whatever. And he was like, good, evil, there has to be balance. And she was like, fine, then what can I give you? And it said, a favor. And she said, what kind of favor? It said, a small one. So she was like, fine, take your small favor. Here, we're over here. And she follows it, and leads her towards the dead body of
Morthel?
Yeah. And she's like searching around. She's like, ew, gross. But inside his mouth?
Yeah.
She sees something.
All these razor sharp teeth.
Yeah. Ugh. She sees something shiny. So she reaches her hand in his mouth, down his throat, to get this
coin.
And when she turns around, what was there?
Malcolm was there. Yeah, he takes the coin.
And he is like, you can't have this coin. I'm gonna need that back. And he puts it in a pouch, like on his belt or something. And he was like, you can't take me. She's like, I can take you. I'm gonna kill you. And they kind of fight a little bit.
Yeah.
And
yeah, she said that, like, his skin is, like, melting off his body and shit, like, ugh.
And she's stabbed by him in the stomach. Or no, with his hand?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's his hand.
He, like, punches his hand through her stomach and then, like, reaches up under her ribs.
Yeah.
And that's a fatal blow. It's a slow blow, but it's a fatal blow.
Which, like, if he wants her to help him, why would you slowly try to kill her? Maybe to, like, a desperation thing, like, oh, well, she'll finally come to if she's on the brink of death.
He also said that if she's out of the picture, then he can have Kingfisher.
Yeah, that's true. Which we know.
So she is like, no, he's my mate. And then as soon as she says it, all of her marks come out. And
Kingfisher also mentioned it to, like, everyone that she was his mate.
While they're, like, while he's got his hand up in her ribcage, she snatches the coin pouch off his...
She's so good with sleight of hand.
From his belt, and he's like, I did it so that you die slow enough so you can come see you die. And he's getting ready to go. She's like, you're forgetting something.
Mm-hmm.
She flicks the coin up into the air and it lands on the ground. All the souls are released and they're able to, like, move on. And
yeah, like, all this air when we're just like,
yeah. And it also, like, causes some sort of earthquake.
Yeah. Earthquake, giant wind, like, resetting, like, time in history.
Yeah, and the whole time she hears, like, Kingfisher in her head, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm coming, just hold on, are you okay? He's like, yeah. I'm coming, where are you? And she's like, I'm by the dead body of this thing. So he gets there, he sees that she's dying. She's like, I didn't think it would be me, and I didn't think it'd be this fast.
Yeah.
And
he's like, you're not gonna die, like, you know, it's okay, we can do this.
Yeah, he was like, give her all my soul and I'll die. And she was like, if you kill yourself to save me, that goes against the vow that we made to each other that you would never control me.
Yeah, Taladeus, like, comes. Which, like, I feel like they also, like, hate each other, but I'm assuming it was just, like, a ruse on Taladeus' part. Because now he's all, like, calm, like, Fisher, come on, you know, talking to him, like, all nice and sweet, like they're, like, best friends or something. Yeah, she's telling him, like, do not take this right from me.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, sorry. You should go to the next part. I mean, she's always about that, like, don't take my free will, like, my rights away, stuff like that. Like, if you, give me your soul and you die, then, like, oh, she said that, at one point she said that she would reject the mate bond in this life and the next life, because they're gonna always find each other somehow, you know. And Taladeus is just like, we're running out of time here, Fisher, what should I do?
Yeah, he offers to bite her, and Saris is kind of, like, unable to respond even in her mind now.
Yeah, she's just like, I don't want to be a feeder, like, please don't. And she's like, would I have to do it? And they're like, we don't know.
So Kingfisher makes the decision for her, and she gets bit, she starts to turn, she wakes up, and she's like, I'm gonna hurl. I feel sick. And as she's thinking this, she feels the Quicksilver that she was talking to before being like, hey, we're gonna call in that favor now. And then her body is yanked out of Kingfisher's hand and dragged through the air.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Kingfisher's like, Saris, like, what the fuck? That would scare the shit out of me, actually. Ugh.
She's dragged into the Quicksilver pool. And she kind of passes out for a second, but when she wakes up, she's, like, in a field.
Yeah, all I hear is like, it's dead. She's like, what the fuck is happening? They're like, oh, we can't be dead. And they're like, oh, how are you so sure? Yeah, these two people, like, at first I thought they were really creepy. I was like, oh, they're not creepy. And I was like, okay, they're still a little bit creepy. Sorry, continue.
So, she wakes up and sees two girls who are twins, and they're, like, really curious about her because she's just different.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the last person I saw was Kingfisher.
She comes to the realization that they are the twin gods, and she's been called there by the Mischief?
Yeah, I think his name is, like, Zorith or something like that.
Chaos? God of Chaos?
Yeah, God of Chaos. The one that Everlane is just like, don't look him in the eyes, like, touch his feet, and that kind of thing, yeah.
So she's a little bit worried for him to see her, because she was like, well, I don't want to be in his sights, because it's supposed to be bad luck. But they meet, they talk, and he was like, I've been trying to keep you and Fisher apart for a long time now. You were supposed to be Fae, which is why Kingfisher's mom drew her with pointed ears, but I sent you to a human instead.
Yeah.
So that I could separate you guys. She's like,
bro, what? I would be so pissed off if someone took my right to have pointed ears.
Yeah, and she doesn't really get why. She was like, why would you go against the fates? Because apparently their bond is so strong that it's like the brightest bond, like string.
Yeah, something like that. It's like firing.
String in the fates or something like that. And he's like, no matter what I do, you guys just always find your way back to each other. And so then he shows her this tree that has silver leaves on it. And
which is part is crazy.
Apparently each leaf on this tree is a different realm, universe type thing. And part of the tree is turning black because the universes are like the good and evil
aren't out of
balanced. He didn't mention which way was balanced, so it could be like one's too good or one's too bad.
But in my head, I feel like it's more evil taking over, because why is the tree black?
I don't know.
Dying, crumbling.
But the imbalance leads to the world like dying, which causes the tree to die, and it spreads. So he like shakes the tree branch, and she watches the leaves fall. She was like, how many people did you just kill? He was like, millions. Or was it billions?
I think it's billions.
Billions.
Yeah, billions.
She was like, I just watched a massacre.
Yeah.
In the form of leaves.
Zara's just like killed billions of people just like that.
He was like, when I look to the future, all the universes where you and Kingfisher are together, your leaf ends up like these. And she was like, excuse me? And he's like, there were some where I couldn't see the future.
She's like, so me and Kingfisher are responsible for the end of the entire universe? And he's just like, well, she's like, does Fisher know this? He's like, no, of course not. Sorry, keep going.
So he's like, there are some where I can't see past a certain point, where it's possible that you guys are able to save it. But it's also possible that you aren't able to save it, because I can't see it. And that kind of odds 100% certainty versus something I can't see. I'd rather just kill you and be done with it. And she was like, what? No, come on. We're not going to end the universe.
Yeah, but he also says that, like, he finally decided to just let them be, and, like, now they're, like, his ward, so they're, like, protected from the other gods, like, his brothers and sisters, so they can't be touched by them. So he was just like, okay, well, we'll just see kind of like what happens. I don't feel like he doesn't like the fates. He wants to choose things for himself, but now they can't be like affected by the other gods and goddess. It's just his brothers and sister, right?
I don't remember.
Well, I know the two girls, her sons back in Silver City are like Zareth's daughters, like whatever, something Mill and Belly, or I forgot the names, but yeah, so he's not worried about them. He wants to be worried about the other gods.
Well, before that, he mentioned that Kingfisher was brought there after his mom died, and Kingfisher was being himself, and he made an enemy out of all the other gods, and they like really hate him.
Yeah.
And he was like, if I send you back, do you promise to like keep your world from ending? She's like, that sounds hard. He's like, decide now or die, because you don't have much time before you die.
Yeah, it's just like, they don't really care if this tree dies. They can just restart a new thing. Like, it doesn't matter to them. They don't really care one way or another. Just crazy, but...
So she's like, yeah, sure, fine. He was like, well, I can't just send you back because the other gods will be able to find you. He said, I have to make you something that they won't be able to recognize. The fates won't be able to recognize. So he changes her in some way she doesn't know yet and sends her back. She wakes up feeling like crap. And
he pushes her into the back into the Quicksilver too, which I feel like it's kind of funny. Like he's like, okay, I'm done. Just like, goodbye. See you later.
And she starts getting sick, and she hears, what's his name?
Taladeus?
Yeah, and he's like, it's called the Great Purge.
Mm.
And it happens.
She's going back through the Quicksilver. She's saying that she's like dying and being reborn so many times that she's like falling. Well, I don't know how like true that is. It could be just, hallucination thing. And then she's like, oh shit, I have to remember, like, Kingfisher, I had to go back to Kingfisher. And then, she wakes up and Taladeus is there. Which his whole personality changed. Before he was just like, oh, Kingfisher, hello, I have Everlane, that whole situation. Now he's just like, welcome back, how are you? This is the Great Purge, you're gonna feel like this. Like, his whole personality shifted and changed. I still like him. I like Taladeus.
He's trying to, like, explain things to her, but she's not really having any of it. She's like, where's Kingfisher?
Yeah, she doesn't really still trust Taladeus. She's like, this is Malcolm's literal second.
She feels her bond for him, and she eventually finds him. And then she's kind of, like, thinking about, like, I'm a vampire now, like, what's that mean for me? And Taladeus is kind of like, I can't explain anything for you because Kingfisher wants to do it.
But she's just like, I'm nothing like you. I'll never be like you. And he was like, okay, yeah, I get it. So we understand.
He ends up leaving at some point, and...
Oh, but before he leaves, he tells her, that, when she said, I'm nothing like you, and he was like, oh, I know that. And she's like, what's your tone mean? He's like, come look. She looks in the mirror. Well, bam! Fate years. How lucky. If I could wake up and have fate years, I don't think I'd ever be angry the rest of my life. Okay, well, maybe not the rest of my life. Maybe for a couple days. But then, I would still be like, I'd be angry and then be like, oh yeah, I have pointed ears. Yeah. Your face was actually 100% correct. I probably would still be mad. I'm a very angry person.
You would 100% still be mad. I bet you'd be mad the same day you got the procedure.
You're probably right. Probably within the hour, I'd probably be mad about some dumb shit. But then I would be like, oh yeah, I have fate ears. Or I have pointed ears.
And then something else would piss you off and you'd be mad again.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's not about me. It's about them in the book. But yeah, you're probably right.
You said you'd never be mad
I know.
For the rest of your life.
Listen. It's called...
You're just saying some fake shit.
It's called... what's the word?
Hopeful...
Not wishful thinking. It's I feel like there's another word I want to say, but... Regardless, homegirl has pointed ears, fate ears, and she's half fate and half vampire.
Well, she doesn't know that yet.
Well... well, she said that she's not fully human. She does say no longer human, not fully vampire, not fully fae, but obviously she's mixed.
Yeah, so Lorith comes and talks to her and like gives her spills of tea. And he's like, Carrion is actually a...
Well, Carrion said it in the thing when Malcolm was... drinking his blood.
That meant,
yeah, she knew that the name was like a recollection, and she's like, I know this name, but then Malcolm was just like, you made me drink from the line of Dianatheus or something like that. Yeah, Carrion was like, oh yeah, people know me as Carrion Swift, but I'm actually Carrion Diathanus, the heir for these two OG fays that were the ones who found the vampire, either started the vampire thing or found the cure for the vampire thing. I feel like they started it. But they was just like, you can't drink from the royal bloodline. That was like a stipulation like that. And then Malcolm was just like, bro, you are the thing. And then, yeah, so the information clicks, yeah, you can...
Well, she didn't know any of that until Lorith explained it to her. And then Carrion came and visited her, and he was like, guess what? And she was like, I already know.
Oh, also, before that, Taladeus was talking about how he put a block on her memories because some things could be, like, a little bit hard to come to terms with when you're, like, fully, or becoming a vampire, and he, like, forces her to remove it, and she's just, like, reliving everything that, like, happened up to that point, and then she was like, bro, I bit you, and Taladeus was like, yeah. Which, I feel like I would also, like, don't take my memories. I want to remember everything. Like, they're not yours to take, you know? So, yeah, she remembers, like, all of those kinds of things. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Lorith is there, sorry.
I forgot.
About Lorith being there?
No.
Oh. Well, she's talking about, about wanting to thank Taladeus for, like, saving her life, but also, you know, wanting to kill him. And he was just like, you know, he's kind of happy that she killed Malcolm because, like, he was never going to be free of him. Do you want to go get him?
No.
Like, he was never going to be free of Malcolm. Like, he was kind of stuck with him. Like, he tried to kill himself, but Malcolm is just like, you're never going to be able to, or you can never try to do that again. It's like, Malcolm is like, his word is like what goes, and he's like, well, now he's dead, and like, I'm free, but, you know, I kind of still staying here, maybe to help with the transition a little bit, but he's just like talking to her, and, you know, he's like, there's like two kinds of forever. Like, there's a good forever, and there's a forever that's like hell. Like, make sure you choose the right path. I feel like he was living his forever in hell because he didn't want to be there. He was kind of like chosen, stuck to be there. Now that he's free, I think he's going to have a whole character change. I mean, he already kind of started to have it when he showed up when she was dying. So, I think hopefully we'll hear more about him in the next book. I like him, but yeah, Lorith is there, and yeah, Carrion is there now, and he's all being Carrion again, and now he's in, like, his official Fae, like, a glamour is gone. Do you think he could control the glamour, or it was just broken because something happened?
I think it was broken.
Yeah, so now he's, like, officially Fae. I mean, he was Fae all along, but there was a glamour. Which also, do you think because he was glamour to not be Fae, he couldn't have Fae powers? Because he totally should have been able to do the whole knife thing with Lorith. Remember that whole...
I think he just kept it under wraps.
Really well, I think, yeah. So yeah, she's really pissed off at him, and she's like, you're an asshole. It's like, I've known you since I was 15. He's like, oh, well, I've known you since I was like 1,080 something. And she was like, you motherfucker.
Yeah, so she's like, explain yourself, kind of, and he says that Kingfisher's dad, when he was sent on his mission to the Silver City, he took Carrion with him and hid him somewhere inside the city so that the bloodline for the curse could be preserved.
Yeah, broken one day.
And
not broken, but yeah.
He kind of like spent that 1,000 of years with this family being he would get like passed down through the women, like he would be their child, or he would be like their father, then their older brother, then their son, then their grandson, and then he'd be passed down to the next daughter, and it was just like go through that cycle.
Yeah, which would be like
so
hard.
grandma that he's with is like his, kind of like his, I don't even know.
Well, he said that she started out as a friend, like a playmate, and then she grew up and he kind of didn't-ish, like not as much as she did, so then she just became his grandmother, so now they just say that it's his grandmother, even though it's not his actual grandmother. Like, they age normally until they're 21, and then they stop aging, so now it's just looking like it's his grandmother, yeah. And then all those people will die, and then it'll start again. How crazy is that? Just watching all those people die. Damn.
And
just like stuck in that shit city. 1,000-something years in a hot city, the sun never goes down, bro. I would go insane. I hate the sun. Sorry, yeah, keep going.
I forgot.
Yeah, he just tells the story about he was brought there and kind of put into hiding, and he's always known about his heritage. That's why he has that, that book. It just gets passed down through this family, and she was talking about how he kind of not knew, but it wasn't a big shock to him when maybe like the Quicksilver pool opened up, and like that was the reason why he acted, and he was getting Hayden out of the way, and he was where he was located when Kingfisher came. He was just like, I kind of I wasn't expecting these things, but he thought he was doing them a favor by, saying he was Hayden. Which they also mentioned that, like, Kingfisher's dad brought the heir to that original line to the humans, and then his son, Kingfisher, brought him, the heir, back to where he's supposed to be. So it was like a complete circle kind of moment. Like, the fates really were a part of all this stuff somehow. Like, things happened how they were supposed to be. And then she was just like, bro, you slept with me. And he's like, you're welcome. Like, you creeper. Yeah, and she was like, he was like, well, you slept with Kingfisher? She's like, I knew what Kingfisher was when I slept with him. Like, you're over 1,000 years old? Yeah, that was funny. What?
I don't remember the rest of it.
I think that's pretty much it. Let's see. He knows, Taldeus is, Lorith was there. Taldeus left. Loris came and left. I saw her fate ears and her sharp teeth, and Evelyn is alive. Ren's watching over her. She's in a deep sleep. Taylana and Ishabal are confident that she'll be fine and she'll wake up like any day now. Said they almost died dealing with Belicon while she was going to get the coin. And then they said that, like, it felt like a miracle when she flipped the coin and, like, the whole, the wind swept away all of, like, the block for the magic, and then suddenly their swords are channeling magic again, and that's how they are able to kill Belicon. So Belicon is dead, she killed Malcolm, and Madra fled back through the Quicksilver pool right when things, like, got crazy. Belicon isn't dead. Belicon was fighting all of them, and then when the magic came back, Lorith took out his the sword, like the angel breath came out of his sword, and Bellicon ran like, you know, a little beach. And then it said that Carrion's dad, his father's blood, was used to create the blood curse that allowed Malcolm to become a vampire. So drinking from the source of that blood should have killed Malcolm, but since all this time had passed, Malcolm didn't die because he just became too powerful. So he mentioned that. And then that was the reason why Malcolm had Bellicon kill his parents, because they're the only thing that could like pose a threat. Obviously, they didn't know that Bellicon or Carrion's parents had a child, or else they probably would have killed him too. So, it was talking about Carrion barely being able to remember his parents, and then Fisher does his Fisher things and kind of sneaks up. Is like, I remember them, and he wants to know about them, but Fisher was like, I'll tell you everything that I remember after I come in here and check on her and talk with my girl. And then Carrion is like, are you going to tell me about my parents, or are you going to start undressing each other? He's like, I can leave. I don't have to leave, but I can. Like, Carrion, dirty dog. Yeah, so he leaves. And then she's talking to Fisher. And yeah, she's kind of still upset that she is a half vampire now, but she's still like thankful, I guess. Yeah. He's like, doesn't really matter if you're human or fae or vampire, like, you're still the one for me, my mate, my bitch. No, I'm kidding. That'd be funny if he said that. Like, this is not the time, Fisher. Yeah, so he's asking her, like, did I do the right thing? Basically just telling Talades that she consents, even though she didn't fully consent. And she's just like, yeah, I guess you did all right. And she's talks to Kingfisher about all of the God of Chaos information. She doesn't talk to him. She is thinking about having to talk to him about all of the God of Chaos situation and what has kind of been taken from them. Like, they can't be seen or interfered or contacted by the gods anymore. Like, it's kind of whatever they do is on them. Like, the gods can't interfere in any kind of way. And then she's looking into Fisher's eyes and sees that some of the Quicksilver is taken out of them. So she's like really excited about that, and he's just like, I'm not gonna lose my mind. It might take many sessions, but I think they can get the rest of it out and it'll be all good and great. And then, you know, he's just like, we can talk about that later, but maybe you should look at where we're at. And, excuse me. He's just like, we can talk about that, like, you know, tomorrow, the day after, but the day after tomorrow, we can't talk about anything. And she's just like, why? And he's like, come here and look. He, like, opens up the window, the blinds, the curtains, whatever, and, like, oh, we're on the other side of the Darn. There's all these camps, all these fires going, and he talks about them being inside of Amon Treath, the other side of, you know, the river, where magic didn't work before, but now it does. And he's just like, okay, well, in Fae courts, you know, it's, things get passed down to the heir, but if the regent is the person who is currently king or queen is killed, then whoever kills them, they become the next king or queen. And Malcolm never named an heir because, he's cocky. Never thought anything was ever going to kill him, which I feel like his heir would have been Taladeus if he wanted to choose the heir, but he never chose an heir, and lo and behold, Sarah's killed him, so you're gonna become the next queen of Samosroth. And then it's finished.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Sarah's will be the new queen, whether she wants it or not. It's how things go. So, do you think Kingfisher will ever step up and become the lord or the king or whatever of his area? They gotta go after Bellicon. They gotta go after Madra. Huh?
I think Everlane will.
Well, they're in different parts. He can be king of a different part.
The whole part they're in, though, is the Winter Court.
Yeah, but I'm saying, they called him Lord, and he didn't want to be called a Lord. But I'm saying, do you think they can step up? Or do you think if the same thing happens, if Kingfisher kills Bellicon, then that would mean Kingfisher would become king? It would skip right over Everlane. Because surely...
Bellicon has an heir.
It doesn't mean he has to name them the next person in line. Do you think he would ever name her? He called her a bitch. He's like, I don't give a shit if she dies. I was gonna kill her right after, I'm just gonna kill her anyway, kind of situation. So he could have, but I don't think he did. I mean, if he did, then of course she will be queen, but yeah, anyway. Sarys is gonna become the new queen of Samosroth. Do you think there's people on that side? I thought it was all just Malcolm's vampires.
I think it is just vampires, but some of them are sentient.
Yeah, they kind of... now that Malcolm is dead, obviously Taladeus isn't dead, so it's not like a Vampire Diaries thing where if the creator dies, then they all die. So, yeah, we'll see how many are actually well aware and walking around like Taladeus is, and what happens to the ones that aren't like that? Are they just kind of stuck and frozen, not knowing what to do, waiting for orders? You know what I mean? Yeah, so I have to wait probably a while for the next book.
A year, I think.
Yeah, probably. What are your overall thoughts?
I give it a 4 overall.
Give it a 5.
And 3.5 on spice.
Yeah, 3.5 is fair for the spice.
I give it a 0.5 because I enjoyed the scenes. Only 3 because it was just basic.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, just part that saying that they just did it for 3 hours.
Yeah, the most description was it was thoroughly described, but not at the same time.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's why I wouldn't give it a 4.
Yeah, I would give it a 4. Yeah, I think 3.5 is good. I give the book a 5 though.
I give it a 4 just because I didn't like the book until chapter 8.
Oh, I liked it. Yeah, immediately. I was immediately hooked. Yeah, thought it was great. Yeah. Any things?
I'm real mad that I have to wait so long for the next one.
I know, but just think about January. We can read that other series.
Yeah. That's still a whole nother
It's literally almost December. Next week is December.
Yeah. Are we reading that one book?
Mm-hmm.
What's it called again? A Game of
Love and Betrayal?
Yeah, A Game of Love and Betrayal is our next book. This one's like 200 something pages for me, shorter. So I'm not quite sure how we're gonna break that down.
Yeah, on my phone it says 466, and Quicksilver was 733. So
mine says 396 for this next book, and
Quicksilver
was 610 for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of chapters. There are 37 chapters, and
they're probably short then.
Oh my god, you have no fucking idea how excited I am for short chapters.
Yeah. We'll figure out how we're gonna break it down, and then we'll start doing more episodes.
Yeah. I think that's it. Quicksilver has been unbound. We have talked about lots of things. Some things are still left out-ish. Not like a lot of things. We talked about pretty much everything, but could have went into a little bit more detail about some of the good scenes. But yeah, I definitely recommend this book. I really, really, really enjoyed it.
Me too. And if you do start reading it, just wait until I think it was chapter 5 or chapter 8 is when I really started to like it. So just hold out. Give it a chance.
I liked it starting on the first chapter, but
I was so bored.
I thought it was glad I never really read a book that kind of just started like that. I just feel like it just kind of you were in the action. Not too much, but yeah, we are finished. We will come with a new video and a new book next time. I think that's it. Okay, bye!